Okay, so welcome everyone to today's class. So today we'll be looking at introduction to design system, and it's going to be majorly practical today. So we'll be doing practical today and the next class. Then the after the next class, we'll now look at the theory aspect of it. I understood that doing practical first before the theory part. Most times, students tend to understand better that way. I think I understood that while I was in the university. I think I'm doing during my IT period, industrial attachment. So I after during the process I was into transformer repairs, rewinding and coiling, things like that. So in the process I happened to come back in my 500 level, and then things that they were explaining, I better understood it than when they were explaining it in my first semester. Um, but when I was back, I understood it better. So we are going to do the practical today and the next class, and then we'll now look into the theory part of it. I think that will be next week Friday then. Okay, so let's jump right into the design. So I'm going to be sharing my Figma file now. So we still use the same file we used in our last class. Okay, so everyone can see my Figma file now. So I said earlier we're going to look at color first when we start this. So I took the liberty of bringing in my personal color um, design system, so that this is going to help fasten the process. Okay, so this is my best color. When I say best color, this is what I use for my headers, my body text, and okay, my body text I use gray. Okay, I use gray, yeah, and then depending on how thin and how the emphasis I want to put on the body text. So here as we discussed last class, you document your color, you document your choices, you put in your HEX code, and then you name it also. So this is my base color. So base color is always basically black and white. So that's where I use white color. That's where I use my dark color. Now notice that I did not use 0000000 here. Most designers, what they do is they use 0000. Okay, which is, now let me show you the difference. So I'm going to use this first one as I'm going to make this one 000. Now if you compare this, one is more darker, and when a user uses this particular, the first color here, so let me just edit this so possible. Okay, so if a user should um use this particular interface that has this particular color, is going to affect the user. The readability will be very true color. There is the current update that Truecaller just did, and is to me it is affecting my eye as a user. I prefer the old UI to this particular new UI. Okay, because they are using, I think their color is 0000. I don't know, is there anybody that uses Truecaller here and also has updated his Truecaller? Or if you haven't, so you can do that, you will see that the color is dark, very dark, and it's not appealing to the eye. So when designing and when choosing your dark color, do not refrain from 000. Refrain from it. It affects the readability of users. Okay, so I'm going to delete it. Has nothing to do in my place. All right. So after this, so we are going to after getting in the colors you want. So this is going to be my gray color. Okay, Teflon, say what about FFF? Well, FFF. So if you use FFF is just white color. It's not as bright as it should be. But FFF, if you are using it as a background color, I don't advise you using it as a background color. So using it as a text is okay. So, but using it as a background, like, oh yes, you want your background to have the light UI, but you are now using FFF. No, 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 no. It is not good. We'll play this color code game later. So let's focus on the class. One EEE. Anyways, I know somebody is going to say, well, what about one GGGG? Okay. So let's focus on here first. We'll talk about the color code later. Okay, so um as I said earlier, the white color you can use it, Theophilus, to answer your question, you can use the white color for your text, but refrain from using it as your background. All right. All right. So let's so when you are done, so this is gray. So I said gray is a neutral color and it's the best of the just an information about it. This is just content, just writing, just trying to make. So as I said earlier, there is no one way of arranging your design system. So your design system, you can arrange it. You can choose to use let's say I would have choose to use, let me use this other color. I would have choose to use circle here. Okay. It wouldn't have changed anything. So it wouldn't have changed anything. I choose to use any other shape. So, but the arrangement is yours to decide. Okay, so there's no one structural arrangement for this, and there's no one write up putting the information. Your base color, maybe your base color, you would have said no. Oh, I don't like putting my design this way. Then you decide to wrap it this way. It is also allowed. Okay, so there's no one way of doing it. Oh, sorry. All right, so after you are done, so the question now is, how do you name your color? Okay, so how do you name it? So basically, I had to I had to detach the color naming from it. Why I brought it here. So to name the color, you go through the same procedure as, recall when we were giving our layout, when we were doing layout guide. So you go through the same route. So when you come to your field, you will see apply style and variables. Okay. So when you click on it, you click on your addition button here, and then for now we are going to use style. For now we are going to use style. So I'm going to call my style base. So I'm going to call it base. Remember your underscore forward slash or forward slash base. Let's make it complete. Base color um slash space. So I'm going to call this black. All right. So that's all. Then I'm going to do the same thing to this. So I'm going to also name it base color. Remember how you write your first how remember how you write your first please hold on a bit.
I'm coming, sir. I'm coming. I'm coming. I'll come and tell you.
Okay, so remember how you name your style. So the formula is you using your component. This is my component. This is the first folder slash the state or slash size. So for this, you are going to say component slash, we're using the formula for components here too for this style. code base slash the name of the particular code base you're talking about. So this is going to be slash white. Okay, so and then I have this. So if you look at your far right, top right, so you're going to see our color style. So this is our layout grid style we created the other time, and this is our uh, color style. So we have our base color to be white and black. Okay, so that is what has been created already. So anytime you want to edit it, you can just come here, edit style. When it pops up, you now can edit, can create it here. Okay. Okay. So the question is there a spacing after? So before now, I think Figma usually they usually follow if you keep a space after, sorry, a space after. Let's do it together. So let me just be answering questions at the same time because of time. So let's say I want to, so this is, let me detach it. Then remember the other time there was no space after, so I decide that this other one I want to keep space. So I say first color slash. Okay, I think I kept space in the other one, so this one will not keep space slash dark. So I'm going to use dark one to differentiate it. All right. So if you click on, if you come, if I click out and then change, so you can see it is still grouped under my base color. Okay, but before now, I think if you keep space after, before you now write the file name, I think they create a different folder for it. But now they've seen that most times when users are trying to, when designers are trying to, they make mistake and then they forgot how or what the actual name was. There space or was there not space before? Okay, so yep. So now they don't do that again. So now you can put space, you cannot put space, it does not, it's still going to group it normally. So I'm not going to spend time on this, whereas I am going to go to where I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this particular brand color, and also I'm going to use the primary color. Okay, so no, let me do that this. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this later on. So I'm going to rename this style and then call it gray slash 100. I'll do the same thing here. That's 200. I think that's basically, let me use this other one. All right, so then I'm going to use the main primary color. So this is, you can see how I name my primary color. I said primary color slash main. Then also these are the things of it. So this is a lower version, 50% of my primary color, 100%. Well, that's 100%. The 100th thing of the primary color, 200 of the primary, 300, 400. Then this is the darker part of it, the dark side of my primary color. So I'm going to use my main primary color 50% for this particular. So I'm going to name it primary color slash main. So I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to use this too. So this is 50% of my primary color. And I'm going to take, oh, okay. How do I get my different shades of color? Okay. Sorry, I'm coming. I'll attend to that. I think I made a mistake while trying to fix this. So I'm going to, this is my main. This is not my main. This is my, oh, and I think I created this as a variable. I created this as a variable. Let me change that. Okay, so this 500% off. So most times people do have up to 600, 700, 800, 900. If you can see in my gray, since when we are talking about this particular section, uh, this most times I can call it off white. Okay, this I can call it off white. Okay, I need this too. Gray slash 50. Okay, so most times I can call it off white depending on how you can, your naming system can change. So your naming system can be how you feel you can understand it better. All right. So do I need secondary color? Uh I'll answer your question. Let me just go about with this. I need this for a practical, just copy this. Man, it's my main. So then I think I'll pick this up. It's 500. Let me pick this too. It's 50%. All right. So error state. Uh, let's leave this part. Warning, success. Okay, so this is it. Most times, okay. Most times you can go ahead in creating text color. All right, because a time might come that you might decide to use your dark color, your base color for something else, just for maybe for your image and the rest. So you can go ahead to create your text color so that you now know, oh, this is for my text and this is for my body text. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Let me pick this out first. So most times people uses this gray color to achieve that. Okay, so they use this particular family to achieve that. Well, I don't want to mix up the naming, so I'm going to use this. I'll duplicate this and then change this to text. Okay, then um text. Okay, so text is a neutral color and is the base of the color system, the major blah blah blah. Okay. Well, you've seen. So here there was background, I said background text and dividers, etc. Well, should we keep it? Should we keep it that way? Just to avoid duplication and the rest. Okay, so let me use this to answer a question that was asked previously. So how do I choose my thing? How do I choose the different what was the question? So how do I get different shades of my color? So let's assume that this is my primary color. Okay. So basically you just if you want a lighter version of that, you pick towards here. Okay, so you do it manually. All right. So you know towards this area is lighter, and then you can say, oh, so this is my 50% of this particular primary color. Or yes, so you can say this is 50%. Then you do the same thing to yeah. Remember the primary color we took, so you can now say this is like 100% of it. Then you go that way. So towards our 900, if you use 900, you're going to see that our 900 has to be darker, to be something deep, close to almost black. So you take it towards this other shade of blue. All right. So what was that? Goodness, is that better? Do you understand it now? So you can do it like yourself. You do it manually. Okay, to avoid duplication, let me remove that. That has worked out for something else. So I'm going to use this as my body text. I'm going to use this as my body text. So I'll call it gray. I'm going to call it gray slash just for no plugin. Well, there is, but personally I don't like using plugin. I like tweaking my stuff like I like doing it, but there are plugins for it. But me and plugins that things that I can do it, like I can tweak it to my own choice, like how I want to arrange my stuff. I like doing it myself, like manually. So even if I should even bring in a plugin, I might after bringing in a plugin, I might still decide um to I might decide to tweak it again. So you said manually is going to tell yes, but I like achieving that particular. Before the end of the class, I'm going to show you the plugin for that too. Okay, so I can call this body text. Let me just call it body text because of what I want to do. Okay, so this is how you name your colors. Let's stop there about the naming of the colors and the rest of the stuff. Okay, so let me see if I can still remember. Uh, what was it? What was it? What was it? It has been long I used plugin for things like that. It has been long. So, oh, foundation. That should be foundation. That's from okay. So this is these are things from things should be material design that owns this foundation. Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, so let's say we choose our color. So we said this was our main flow. So let's see how. So we now insert it here. Enter. Okay, so create style. Let me carry my style go. Am I supposed to give it a background?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. After creating the stars, then you put it in this thing. Um, platelet,
Okay.
written there. Just click on the platelet. That is when it will come out. The style has already been created, but if you want to see it in your design, you have to click on that platelet.
Okay, so I think I've seen see something. Okay, so anyways, you can decide to use just to yes for time's sake. So you can use the plugin for it. So let me see how it have gotten mine. So this is my primary color. Okay, no. Primary color was generated. I gave it my primary color, so my dark mode. So this should be probably towards, let me see. So this, okay, so darker. So if the color code for darker is this 756. So let me see. So 576. Whereas I think the other one was 756, right? Yeah, 756. This was being tweaked. It was being tweaked. You can see it is almost closer to what foundation has. So you can also make yourself feel that confident of actually getting this color codes, however, like simpler. So let's look at I talked about icon the other time. Let me fix this. So our icon has decided to run. Okay, so let's see. Let me I need to keep it. So I'm going to use desktop for this. So we called it icon. So I told us something about this in our last class. So when getting your icons, I prefer um getting icons double of it. So if I go to iconify, then it doesn't work, then I can think there's material design icons too. So I can get it from there. Or possibly just to save time, you can always go to your can always go to, how do we call it? The I think, how do we call this? Community. Yes. So you can always go to community and then get your icons from there and then use it. All right, Gift, go ahead.
Okay, sir. I thought because of this thing, the color that you said, if you want lighter one, you go left, I'll be right. If you want darker shade, you go. I thought there is how they normally do it, either -8 or be +8 from that hex code, something like that.
Which of them?
The manual, if you want to generate your colors manually, right? You said if you want the
No, no,
lighter
no, no.
one,
When, yeah, when it comes to color, you can't use pixel for colors.
you said
You can't use pixel for colors.
yes, I understand, but I was thinking there is how that you can add some either you add 8 to this one, you get, then you add, you get, and or you subtract, you get something like that. Anyway,
All right. So we are here to learn. I do it manually myself, but let's see. Let's see if that will solve the problem so that others will also, let's see something. So this is our main color. So we detach it. So let's say we say plus. Or are you talking about reducing here our opacity?
no, I'm not
No,
talking
you
about
just
here.
like
Then you go to the
adding
main,
color.
you go to the main color code, like the main colors, this thing.
So let's see. So you are say plus 80%. Doesn't change.
No, that is not what I'm saying. You go to the colors and the color itself, not
Okay,
here.
so let's
Yeah.
okay.
Then you add this 100% is from this 100%. You can -8 from it. Then it will be the colors will be changing.
It is actually the same thing, changing it from here, changing it from opacity. But personally, I don't know, it's just my thing. I don't like seeing my design like my design color having these two colors, like having a primary color and then you now show slash that this, oh, there are this particular stuff here. So to avoid this transparency from this other section, I just kukuma do my stuff manually. So that is me. So but you can also do it that way too. I think when I was taught, like I think that was how my teacher did it. Okay. So that was how it was being done. Well, with opacity, yes, you can reduce it. you can reduce it from your opacity to have 100% and the likes of it. Okay. So gift, yes, you can do it that way too. So, but now my question is, if you want to get a darker mode of this, let's look at this. If you want to get a darker mode of your primary, so how do I do it? So that means here I'll have to now manually adjust it. So it's still, most times it still boils down to the same thing. So I'll have to still manually adjust it because you can't add 100 to 100. Okay, so Theophilus, you have another approach you take for this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let me guess. So you change it from year.
Yes, so you can adjust the values of the
So
HSL,
now the question
either the
the
hue.
question is, adjusting this value, is it not still doing the same thing as you taking your cursor down to, because what normally generally you will not know the value, you'll be tweaking it one after another, right?
Yes, sir. No, the idea is just to make a consistent increase or decrease from that HSL or HSB. You will not change the first value, that 259, that's the base color. But the
Okay.
33 and 33, you can
The
change.
93 and 93.
Yes, you can just change them, like adding 5 or 10 to give a consistent increase.
Okay. So that works too. That works too, but yes, that works too anyways. Okay. So from what I've gotten so far, this particular this particular person saying changing from XEX to HSL. You guys are graphics designers, and so you have a better knowledge of this. Theophilus, you're a graphics designer, right?
Kind of.
Kind of. So I've got even this Carl who's saying this thing again. He's still a graphics designer. Anyways, yes, you can do it that way too. Okay, so uh, I think that should even be a better much approach to it to maintain consistency. So from our primary color, when you've gotten your base color, which is your primary, then you increase it. So let's say let's say we want to increase it by 40, let's see. So let me see something. By 40. Anyways, I will take time to study it later, then I'll see how to go about it. Or 40 is too much of a color of increase. Okay, so I was saying you can, for your color, for your icons, so as not to be, most when we are designing, most times we make decisions in the process of us still going in our design process. So that's why I tell people, when once you design a particular thing, don't feel that that is your final UI. It can change. You can just come back tomorrow and then, oh, you're like, I don't like the way I place this thing. The layout is not giving. I know most times when I was leading a team, most times I do tell them, no, no, no. I'll just wake up one day and then tell you, this layout, the way you are designing it, well, it's not giving, it's not coming out, it's not catching, and the rest of it. So the person will actually have to tweak it again. So when designing or when bringing in your icons, so I prefer you just go to, most times I use the community. I just go get the icon pack. So there's icon pack like material icon. There is icon 8. And then there is, I think, what other one? There is, there are much, but I think that's basically what I use. So there are much. So think, let me see. So there is icon sacks, and there are a lot. So when you are designing, when you keep on building up your icons, that is when you can now use those plugins, Iconify. Even Icon 8 also has material design, also has an icon. Okay, it also has an icon plugin or icon plugin. So if you go to icon sacks, let me do it this way. Let me switch my screen. So if you come to icon sacks, so icon sacks has this particular layout. Why I love icon sacks is they give me a size of this. So they call this money. So this is where I can get, oh, is it card I want to use? Is it a wallet kind of sign? Is it plus or so? This is where I have it. So why I love using this particular community file is that I can also get a few yes, I think they used to have a few, let me see, a few icon for this. This two-tone outline. Let me see. Oh yes, that they used to have it. I think it's usually in this board, and the board are run. Okay, so then they have a linear type too. So now when getting it from here, so after getting, let's say I get a color from outline. Let me say I get this from outline. So I can go back to my file and then paste it there. All right, and then still repeat the same thing till when I get exactly what I want. So now, after this procedure, the question is, what if I now want to add another? Will it make my work organized if I want to add another icon? Because you know how it is organized like this. If you bring in more other icons, like you need to, since you want arrangement, like you want to arrange your work and you want to make it neat. So most times what I do is I create a frame and then import it, then manually bring it here. But another way you can also do that is by putting this in an auto layout. The good part of this new Figma is the upgrade of their auto layout. Okay, so now I can put this and then it is going to still be the way it is. Let me see something. Okay. So if I now bring in another icon, if I just click here, it is now going to arrange itself. All right. Okay, so this is basically about icons. You can just go use any plugin, get your icons and the rest. And then remember your icons must follow the same pattern. So recall when I selected my icon package to use, I did not I went to outline and then I choose from outline. And so if I'm coming to, oh yes, I'm looking for maybe an arrow section of it. Okay. Let me bring this and then let me also carry security and then use that too. Security, I need user. So if you are taking in any other thing, you also have to follow the same type of button you are using. All right, so don't go and carry letter Q. and then you will now carry F the other way from another side. So let's rearrange this. I'm just going to bring in my frame and then take it inside. My boy has run. I've just brought in icon from my file, but well. Just said let me do this manually while in class. Okay, to arrange this better, I will now put in an auto layout so as to make it arranged better. So I can manually tweak this to however I want it to be. I'll use freedom. Oh, so it is in fill. Okay, so let's put it this way. Let me just increase this. The frame of the- Okay, so we've gotten our icon. So let's go into our button. So this is where we stopped in our last class. So we talked about, I'm just going to take this off. We talked about the spacings we should use and also our content. Mouse pad. So I'm just going to take this out, everything, and then take this up. So I'm going to send this to the top. Oh, that was white color. Then just going to use black. Okay, so let me move this. So we said our height should for this should be 56 for our lash. Then our padding, we're saying that will be our left and right padding, and our font size is going to be 18, 16, 14. So let's create this button and then let's see how to make this work. So remember your first step of creating a button, you need to use a text. So I will use label as my button name. Sorry, my button inside. The reason is I don't want to, so I'm going to call this button. Okay, I'll rename it to button, and then this is going to be our large. So just in case, so let's just make everything. So I'm going to rename it button / I'm going to call it large. Okay, I'm going to call it large. So, but in this case, I'm going to give it a state. So what do I mean by state? So we have different states. Okay. So my state, is it going to be hovering? Is it going to be disabled? Things like that. So you also have type too. So it's going to be button type. So this is my component / a type. Sorry, component / a name. So that I'm going to call it primary. Then I'm also going to call this, I'm going to give it a state, which I'm going to say this is an active state, and then it's a large button. So this is the name. So it is a button and it belongs to the primary button and the state is active. and it is the bigger size of it. So that is what this naming just did now. So then we are going to work on the parameters now. So I said padding 24. Here is fixed, so it's going to be 48, no 56. We are doing large. So and then here your width should always be hawk. Okay, your width should always be hawk. Then your text button, we said your text should be 18. Now the question is, what should be my what how do you call it? What should be my font size? So I'm going to, sorry, my icon size. I'm going to call this icon size. Icon size. So what do you think should be your icon size for large to make your text the same proportion? Okay. All right. So 24. Anybody else? So I've seen. Okay. Simon says 18. Goodness says 24. Okay. I want one person. The last person to. What do you think should be size? Same as the font size. So we have 18 as our font size, and we should also use 18 as we should also use 18. Give says 24. So the question is, who is correct? Who is correct? So let's see. So for your font size, sorry, for your icon size. So your icon size to have the proportion, the same proportion with your text. Let me see. Kechuku, the font light height. And Tefilos, can you unmute and then put more light on that?
Okay, I was saying the font line height because if we set a font of 16, the horizontal height of that text is not actually 16. It will also have some padding. So the padding and the font size itself is what will make the entire height of the font. So I think setting it with the line height is what we match it. If the icon is the line height of has the same size as the line height, they will lap.
Okay, so what do you feel is the line height for this? Remember, it's 120%. Is in percent.
In percentage.
So if we put this in auto, auto is always, I think, 18 also. Oh, it's giving us 23 in auto. So which makes the icon size 24.
Yes, so 24 should work, sir.
So it is 24 that is going to be your icon size for this particular size. So we are going to bring in our icon, and I'm going to use going to bring in yes, no, user. Let me bring in user. Let me bring in user for this particular section. Okay, so I'm going to use this. So I'm going to put it at my left hand side. Then I'm going to bring in, I told you I like using two icons. So I'm going to use an arrow for the right hand side. So all right, so we are going to use our color. So white, said bare slash white, bare slash white. So this is going to help us. I just made the both of them the same color, such that if I want to change here, after adding a fill, it will be easier for me to change. So let's say I'm putting in my normal color here. Well, why am I using your foundation? So I'm using main primary color. Okay. So then I'm putting my fill as white. Then I told you guys before, I like rounded corner, so I'm going to put it rounded. So most people will not. So most people might decide to just make it a little. So what should be our size, our full padding? When you say full padding, your full padding, that is your between for this. So most times for this, I prefer using well, 8 is okay. 16 is going to give it a more breathing space. Okay. So 16 is going to give it a more breathing space. Now the question is this how, if I put in more word here, let me bring in label. Okay. So this is, you can now see the difference between what we did the other time and so and let's say we are using a fixed container here. So if we were to use a fixed container here, you now see if I should now bring in another word, you've seen what is happening to the icon. It is not adaptive. It has left the container section and then it has gone to visit his village people. All right, so I'm just going to edit this out and then maintain this. So now we are going to do another thing again. So I'm going to duplicate this for remember we are using, this is large, so I'm going to call this so let's this is our primary color. So our primary is going to be the fill. Okay, so I'm going to change my white color to black just so as not to, then white, and then fill is going to be my primary color. Anyways, you can just type it main. Okay, so let me delete this and then make welcome this body. All right, so another state we'll have is, remember your naming when you were naming it. So I'm going to rename this. Which name am I going to change in button, primary, active, and large? Which name? Do you think I'm going to change the type now, or I am going to change the state? Remember which one is equals to state. So the state is active, and the type is primary, and the size is our large. And what component is it? It is our button. It is button. So what am I going to change? Is it All right. So confirm you can hear me now. Think my mouthpiece. I was using. Okay. So my mouthpiece then has issues again. Okay. So which other state do we feel this should come in? Please. Let me be calling people's names so we can be faster on this. Gifts. Which other state should we have for a primary button?
Disabled.
Sorry.
Disabled.
Oh, disabled. Okay. Okay. Which other state?
Outlined.
Okay. Outline. Which other state?
Pressed.
Okay. First. So okay, I'm going to ask the question later. Okay. Which other state?
Over.
There's an over already.
Okay. Okay.
Is there anybody that? Who is that? So goodness, you said linked. Which one is linked state? Okay, is there anybody else? Now there is this particular state I call icon. Okay, I call it icon. Just it's for icon alone. But most times some persons decide to use it as a type. Okay, they decide to use it as a type, but I prefer mine being an icon. Okay, so there is one remaining. So I'm going to take this up. I'm going to duplicate this up. Yes. Let me take this up. So I'm going to call this. Thank you. So I'm going to call this a default state. So I need a default state. So for my default state is going to be a 50% of my primary. My active is going to be my active color. Then my over is going to be the darker part of my overing. Why am I having this small point? That means there is a mistake with this. Not supposed to be having a decimal point. Yeah, suppose anytime you are designing, make sure you don't have a decimal point in your design. It makes your work neat when there is no decimal point. So let me see which of this is bringing in a decimal point to this design. Or is it from Figma? But there is no decimal points here. Let's see. 24. Oh, okay, okay, okay. The question is, how do we edit it for all? So, all right. So all others should be okay. Now, most of you ask, what did I just do to actually get the text in all this, in all the buttons that I've duplicated already? So what you do is when you click on a particular text that is still, so that is where naming comes in. So when you are consistent in your naming, so what Figma does is it groups that naming somewhere. Something, we'll talk about it. I said I'm going to ask a question after this because I noticed. So there's a grouping somewhere when you name your elements well. So because Figma have noticed, oh yes, that I'm having a primary button here and all this is the same thing, it has the same functions with this. So when I click on my label and then I click on where is it? Where is that boy? Select matching layers. So what it does, it selects all the layers that has that particular naming convention, okay? And then from there, anything you do, it will not affect all of them. So this is when maybe let's say you're not using components here at this particular point in time. Okay, so we have active state, we have our over state, we have disabled. I'm going to take out this disabled for now. So we have outline. So for outline, we are going to remove the fill. And then our primary color is going to have our main color, and also our stroke is going to have the same thing, our main color. Okay, so we now have pressed. So there is a question here: is pressed and active the same thing? Is there any way I can attempt that question? I think Gift, you're the one that told me pressed, but there was an active state. So is pressed and active the same thing?
I don't really know. I was thinking it's default and active that are the same. I don't know.
Default and active are the same.
I said I was thinking. So I
Okay,
don't know
I think.
about press and active.
Okay, is there any other person? Okay, Simon says press means the button is actually working. So what does active mean? Simon, you can unmute.
No, what I'm saying is that both of them are the same. Because I asked the question in the chat. Now I'm confused.
Oh,
I
you're the
don't
one
know.
that okay.
Yes.
You're the one that asked the question. All right,
So I'm
Mr.
asking you.
Yale. Oh, sorry, Mr. Yemi. Do you think it's the same thing? Pressed and active. If Mr. Yemi is not actively available, let me see. Vera, press, when you said a press button and then when you said an active button, is it the one and the same thing?
Hi, good evening. I think they are not the same. So active is when okay, an active state is probably for login form, like when you are filling a login form or something. If you fill in the rights, if everything is correctly filled in, it can be active. That's an example. But pressed is when you are pressing onto it. So there are different states in my own
Okay,
opinion.
when you are pressing up to it. Okay, so when you are pressing down,
I mean, when you are pressing it, that's the press state. But active
okay,
would
so
be when everything is all filled up and is active.
please stay unmuted. So when we said that is it, so when do we have loading state?
Yeah, loading state is back to the login scenario I gave. So when you click on, let's say, register or login, it will be loading, to tell you that you've actually pressed it and it's loading. But press is
Okay.
when you are holding on to it, like you've pressed on it and like your hand is still on it. That's how I understand it.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Simon, so let's see. Have you ever used an application and then after filling all the necessary input field, like after all the field has been pressed, like after filling everything, then you now notice when you click on it, there's a particular state it appears before loading state. Like let's say let's use an example for let's say let's use a desktop for an example. So for desktop, that's where almost all these fields are used. Almost all these states are used because for mobile you cannot hover. So for desktop, after hovering on a particular active state of a button, because you cannot actually, if you hover on a default state or disabled state, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to change your icon to X, meaning cancel. Okay. So when you hover on an active state, it gives you hovering mode. Now, when you fill and then it finishes, if you click on it, there's a state that in most websites it occurs first before we now have the loading state of that icon. Okay, so most times users we jump that particular state and then just use active, over, and then loading, and then loading state. Okay, so pressed is actually different. So press most time press. Okay, I think they are the same thing. I think the different one is the focus. Yes, focus is hovering. When we said you are focusing on something, it's you're actually hovering on that particular. It's just changing of terminology. So anyways, when it comes to creating of design system, you can make it adaptive to how you feel, but most times I use press too. Okay, so this is when other types of colors I would have brought in other. So let me bring in this dark mode for this. Okay, then so this is going to be our, what do we say, we call this an icon mode. And then I said something about loading state. Okay, so there's always a loading state, so I'm going to use this as my loading state. So for loading, well, yes, this is going to still be there. We can change it later on in life. So I'm going to call this loading. Then I'm going to call this icon. Then I'm also going to call this disabled. So for my disabled state is going to carry almost the same color with my primary color. Sorry, it's going to be gray. So I'm going to use 50% of my gray color. Then, but over here, I'm going to change my text color from white to something. I didn't do that. It's going to be a more direct gray off. So let's go back to our color. I need a gray color here. So I'm going to take this. I thought we did this 200, 300 too. So let's see. Button. So grade 500, grade 300. No, it's the text we need. So I'm going to use a much more. Let's see. Okay, so let's use something like this. Then let's change the text to selected color. I'm going to change the text to 300. So this is a disabled state. Okay, so this is our disabled state. So these are all the buttons we have. So there was a question in the, I'm going to explain that maybe later. So let's see. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to duplicate this because of time. Then I'm going to change this to 48. Right? That was our height. Then I'm going to rename current name. Let's see. How do I do that? So let's see. Hmm. Okay, so just going to, that means you have to rename this one after another. So we'll change this to medium. Okay. Goodness has given us what to read on the. So if you have time, you can just go ahead and read what she has given there. So let me manually change this. Okay, so I think we've changed that. Let's see. Yes, I think we've changed all of them now to medium. Okay, so now the next thing is to change our text. So for our text, so this is the bad part of it. Duplicating this that's the disadvantage of it, because we would have created this particular one separate. So I'm just going to rename this. This is supposed to be 16. So our font size here is going to be 16. And what do you think is going to be our icon size? What do you think is going to be our icon size here? Anybody? Okay, our icon size should be 20. Okay, so let's see. So we are going to change our icon to 20. Always remember, anytime you are making use of icon, always lock your aspect ratio. Because if you unlock it and then change here 20, you have to manually go here and then again change it to 20. But when once you lock it, you can just change it in one place, and then it's going to change it in every other your height and your width. So you just change it to 20. So that's going to be our height. So I'm going to just stop here and then try to show you what this does. Okay, so there was a question before. Who asked that question? So Goodness says, I used to think you have to put your button in the components before creating state. Well, guess I'm wrong. Well. I think before now, I don't even know when I started doing this particular method, because I used to do it that same way. I used to follow up that same pattern, but uh, things happened and I adapted to this, and I cannot go back to the way it used to be. I don't know why. So personally, I name my component first before I now go back to name it. So because right now, if I select all of them, okay, if I select all of them, okay, I have to, okay, let's say I'll make each of them a component. So how do you make each of them a component? You right click and then come to create components. Well, I'm not supposed to be telling you people this one. It is for beginners class. Okay, so we are intermediate. I'm not supposed to be showing you how to create a component. So I'll just tell you create a component, and then, well, you do the rest. And why is it that doing this? Goodness, you said something. Or gift. You said I can make it a variant. Can you make a variant without making it a component first? So you say we
I
highlight
said
all
instead
of them
of
and then
making it everyone component, you can make as in
that's
make them,
true.
yes. Make them variant, yes. It will still
Well, that's my bad. Sorry. So let's make it a component set. So once we create a component set, it automatically define the states for you. So I'm just going to change this to type. Okay. I'm going to rename this, and then I'm going to rename this to states, and then I'm going to rename this to size. I forgot that particular method. So now instead of doing, oh boy, I think this is what I would have done. Hold on, because I need this stuff for something else. Okay, so I want to show you a difference between this, why I prefer this method. Okay, so now I'm going to just bring in a mobile frame. Let's say this, then to test run our file. So I'm going to bring an instance of it. So you now see, instead of me manually going across it again to be changing, to be renaming it, I just have to change it from here to change it to large, and then change it here to default. This is because I've already given it. Oh, so there is no secondary state. So that's why I can only start a type. I did not do a primary type of button. So that's why we are having this here. So if to have a secondary type of button here, your first renaming, when you are renaming this, so this is going to be simpler now to make to have a secondary component here. Or let's see, a secondary button here. Let me increase this because I will just have to duplicate this. Okay, duplicate this, put it towards this end. Let's put it towards this and let me make it the same. Then change the color from primary main to secondary main, and then it will be adaptive to all. Okay, then my primary, yes, you just change it to your 500, which is your, and then any place you see your secondary, so you rename it to sorry, any place you see your primary, you rename it to secondary. So it's going to do that work for you. So this is the major reason why you put in your color first. Your color should be your number one, and then your number two design system you should create is your typography. Okay, so after your typography, you can now come into a button. So typography is because I can just decide to say my text here, can just name it a typo, like I can name it icon text. So however you want to name it, just know that that particular text is for your icon. Okay, sorry, your button, sorry. That particular text is for your button. So now let's see something. Let me do this first. Let's see something. So I want to create a component set here. Then when I'm done, I will click here, this particular section only. Let me see if it's going to work, and then rename it to secondary instead of manually changing it from there. And then let's bring in one button. So let's carry a button from here to do testing. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so that works. So instead of manually renaming it one after another, so after just creating your component set, you can now rename that particular section where you have the type. So I did not change it here. So I'm just going to select on the component set itself, change property 1 to type, change active state change it to state, and then change this to what was it? Okay, size. Yeah, thank you. So change it directly there. So with that, it is much faster. So there was a state. This was supposed to just be icon only. Okay. So this was supposed to be just icon only. So I'm just going to remove my text. I'm going to remove my text. So I off this. Then I'm going to remove one of the icon from here first. So this is just going to be my icon state only. So another thing you can do here is to select your icon. So let's say I select the ones to my left. Then I will also do select all. So it's going to select all my icon to the left. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to add appearance to it. A boolean properties. Okay, we'll do that later. So apply a variable slash property. So I'm going to add it here. So I'm going to call it so it's saying property, or is it a variable? Show layers. So I'm going to call this layer name. I'm going to name it left icon. Right? So left icon. Then I'll repeat the same thing to my right. So I'm also going to name it my right. So I'm going to put a property for it, and then I call it right icon. All right. So with this, I can easily use this particular button in different states. Okay. So if I want a situation whereby I don't have to use the left icon, I just want to use the left icon alone, then I can. So I think this is the one we just did that. So I'm going to change this to large, bring in much better, then change this. I don't like secondary. So use primary state. Okay, so if I want my right icon, I can now bring it in. I just want only my left icon. So this comes in handy. So I can decide to say, click here to learn more. Okay. So now you notice what happened. I manually adjusted this in the process of trying to expand it. So do not. So now it has affected me. So you do it, click here. So it adjusts itself. Click here to learn more. So another way, let's say we want to use only the left icon. So I can now say, most times recently now I've been using more of the left icon. So I can now see all mentors here. See all mentors. So you can now see, oh yes, the picture here is showing that, oh, this is mentors, or see all mentors and the rest. So you can now see how easy it is using these properties. And also the last thing here I'm going to show you is your text. So you notice that while I was trying to edit that, I had to be clicking on it, double tapping on it to edit the name, which is not one of the ways you can do it, a best way to do it. So you just select all layers, all matching layers again. When you select it, you come to your top right here where you are seeing and label. So before now, this used to be somewhere where you have typography in the old Figma interface, but now they took it down here. So you see label. So what you do is you attach, you apply property. Well, so you now add it, and then you call it, well, text. Yeah, well, you can allow it to be text. No, I'm going to call it label. Okay, I'm going to change. Let me change my value. So let me change my value to button. All right, this is so that there will be no confusion. So now if I go back to this thing now, I'll just have to click on this, and then looking at where my property bar is, I'm going to see a new property called and label. So I can just select here and then type what I want to type. Come and then. Okay. So this does the work for you very easily. If you use this particular approach, you now see iterating your design is going to be easy. Most designers, when clients, stakeholders tell them, oh no, this is not how I want it to be, this is not, it is going to be easier for you because you can now just go there and change your takes or change whatever you want to do and to be easy. And speaking of which, there's another thing I'm supposed to show us too. So I'm going to still go back to the icon. So I'm going to select all my icon, my left icon. What I'm going to attach here is going to be instance, create instance swap. So you can look at where my cursor is at the top right, top right. So you are going to see create instance swap property. So I'm going to create an instance swap, and then I'm going to still call it left icon. Left icon. Then I'm going to create the property. Then I'll do the same thing to my left guy, they left me alone. So I'm just going to select all. Okay, no. So let me select this image here and then highlight all. So I'm going to create the same thing, instance. Remember not to give it the same property that it has, the same name you gave it the other time. So instead of typing left, I'm going to use right icon. Then enter. So what this does is, let's go back to our design. So what this does is that I can just click on here. Oh, okay. No, what happened? Something is missing here. Okay. Who can tell me why I can't see? Because here is supposed to be two things. Why I'm only seeing left icon 2. Is there any way I can tell me why this is only appearing here? Remember, I gave an instance to two things. So I'm supposed to see my right icon too, right? Let's see. What did you use to highlight to get them highlighted? I select all matching layers. I'm going to show you that again. Select all matching layers. Okay, so as not to keep us waiting again. So the reason why our right icon 2 is not appearing here is because our right icon is off. So the state shows false. So that means there's no need for Figma to actually tell you change the right icon when you don't actually need it to change it in this instance. So if I bring in my right icon, so I'm going to now see that my right icon is here. So the instance swap here does is, instead of, in a component, when bringing an instance of a component, you cannot bring in an icon here. So let's say I want to use this. So let's say I want to use this. If I bring in here, it's not going to work. So they will tell me that I cannot. So let's say, let me cut this, select this, and then let's see. Then try to paste to replace. So what they will tell me is pasting inside the current selection is not possible. So how do you change the icon of the a component or an instance of a component? So this is when the instance swap comes in. So if I said, let me use on my left side that I want to use I, Okay, so if I click on this, it's going to now change it to the eye. All right, so Goodness asked, how did you select all? So let me use this particular one for an example. So when I select one of them, okay, so I select one of these, I'll have to come here and then select matching layers. So what Figma does is it will look at the name profile to users, and then it will select the layers that is there. Okay, so if I click on it, it has selected all the layers that have that particular name. So the same thing goes to my right arrow. If I select my right arrow and then do the same thing, so it will select all of them. So my label, it does the same thing to select all of them. My button, well, to select all of them too. All right. Do we have any question? We've taken so much. I think our first section, that was what took most of our time. So after learning this, go and practice it. All right, practice them more, because if you don't practice it, you will fail to understand it better. Okay. All right. So okay. All right. So any question? Any question? Do we have any question whatsoever? So I feel everyone understood this. We understood this better by and by. Is it recorded? Is this class recorded? I think it's not recorded, Simon. Ah, Simon will kill me. Yes, it is recorded. It is recorded. All our classes are always recorded, apart from the first section. I don't want to record that one, so it's recorded. Okay. So any question? So I guess there is no question. There is no question. So in the course of this, we are all advancing designers. Like, we are growing. Okay. So one of our tasks, I think our next task is going to be creating a design system, having your own design system. So we'll create our design system, because most time what makes designers waste time in design is they don't have the design system ready already. So that any new project, any new project, they'll have to start afresh to create a new design system, which is a wrong practice. So once you have a new product, a client meets you, copy your less than 75. If 75 is the cutoff point, arrange your work. Let's learn to be neat as designers. Okay. Okay, so how to publish design system, please, the library and all that. That's towards the end of of this course. We'll learn how to publish design system. Okay, we'll learn how to publish our designs and the rest. It's simple now. Just, you're a designer, figure it out. But by the way, we are still going to do it again. I hope you can hear me. Variant. There are sometimes I prefer using variant and style is not the same thing. Most people, when it came out, I thought personally that it was an advance of style, but there are some things that I use variant for, uh, and there are some things I also use style for. But for this course of, like, for this section, we are using style for now. So when it's time to use variant, you are going to bring in variant into it. So, but there are things now we've done that I would have personally used variant. Personally, for my colors, I use variant. I don't know why. Okay, I use variant instead of style. Yes, both make changes. Both of them still does the same thing. Yeah, but there's a little minimal changes. Okay, so maybe in our next class we'll have 2 or 3 classes to talk about design system. So we'll look at the difference between them. All right. So in the meantime, you can personally still do your own research too about difference between variant and style. Okay, and when to use it. All right. I guess that I saw a hand. Zinab, are you still interested in your question, or was that being answered? Any other question? Um, Mr. Yemi, you want to say something?
Yes.
All right.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was not really, I think I was just watching the video again. I was not really able to be part of this class 100%. My mind was divided between work and the class. But I think when you were in the beginning, I want to ask you a question about what do you call this thing now? Um okay, how to uh get access to more pages on Figma. So I don't know, I don't know whether I can still ask for while you are recording or you have stopped recording.
No, don't worry. It's still it's yes. Meet. You can meet Theophilus, or you can meet Kechuku, or you can meet Muhammad. Any of them can help you do that. Or in
No,
the meantime, after
I actually followed
okay,
that particular
are
part of
you
the
joining with
class.
your system? Are you joining with your system?
No. It's just one question I
Uh,
actually have.
okay. What's the question? You can go ahead.
Yeah, so I tried registering on the Figma education something. But as I tried to do that, it didn't submit and the button became disabled. At a particular, I checked for where the issue could be. It was around the date the courses were supposed to expire. And no matter the date I changed it, whether December 2027 or not, it just remained red and refused to submit. So I wanted to ask if what could be the cause.
I don't think that could be the problem. I don't think it's when it's expiring that is a problem. Or maybe you are you're it no, if it is education already, they will tell you that you are already in. So you don't have it. So for the fact that they were able to open that particular stuff for you. So okay, let's do like this. When after this class, just stay behind, then join with your system and then share your screen. Is that possible?
No, it's not possible. I'm actually in traffic
Okay.
right now. I'm on my way
When
home.
okay, so when you are free, put drop a message on the group for me, notify me that you are available. I'll make
Okay,
time
sir.
for you.
Oh, thank you
Okay,
so
so
much, sir. I appreciate
no
that.
problem. Zinab, go ahead.
Okay, sir. My question is, for every time you give us a task, do we have to create a new file so that we can have all these style guides recorded just like you did for us, or we can just have the color somewhere and do the task like that?
So personally, I prefer use a particular file. So just make it organize your work. Use a particular file. So your tax one could be the first page, your tax two could be the second page, your tax three could be the fourth page. All right. So use one particular file. Then your first page can be your where your design system are, except otherwise. So that's why when you are doing your tax, just maintain a color that you want to use in all your. I don't care about that. I care about the functionality of what you are designing and your UI also. Most of our UI is not giving me is not UI. Okay, most of our UI. So we are going to change that, and so we are entering into it bit by bit. So most times we'll be doing hands-on during a call. So all of like most I'll prefer all of us will join on like we'll join with our system that time and then we'll now look at it together and then try to see how we can troubleshoot our problem and see where our problem is. All right. So one file is okay. I hope that answered your question. One file is okay, then different pages. Now I've given you access on I've shown you how to get these multiple pages. So you can create up to 1,000 pages on that particular file that you will use. So that's okay. That's enough.
Sorry, sir. Another question. If we copy link and share with you, so that means you have access to see all pages on that file.
Yes, I have access to see. When you share a link, you are sharing the entire file. You are sharing the file, not a page.
Sorry. Thank you, sir.
All right. Vera, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. I just wanted to find out the account I was using to do my task. I just upgraded it to education now and it worked, but I don't know. For some reasons I couldn't, change. I don't know how to, do that educational, like upgrade an existing team to educational. So I had to create a new team and now
File.
upgrade that one. Is it a file? A
Okay.
team. Yes.
Okay,
So
team.
I
Okay, you
don't
can upgrade that particular team. You can upgrade it. Are you joining with your system?
know, but if it won't take time, I could quickly join now. But I'm currently not
Uh,
on my system.
Maybe just see if you can make it before the end of the class. Then you can share your screen. Then I'll show you how to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You can always upgrade an existing team to that plan.
Okay, let me
All right.
quickly.
So yeah. Any other person?
Oh, sorry, sir. Another question, please. While you were creating the buttons, I noticed that your disabled button, there's no visibility of the text. Is it normal or it's just because you're not treating buttons individually?
Disabled. Let's see. My disabled buttons.
Sorry, inactive button. Sorry, inactive button.
Inactive. Okay, default, right?
The default and the inactive button.
So there is a little. It will always be a little visibility. Okay. Normally when prototyping this, when we will be doing advanced prototyping. So because we are product designers, from your prototyping, I should be able to use the product very well. So here, hovering on this should bring a danger, a U and X. Okay, it should bring a U and X. That is not that you cannot press it. So why that happen is like you can see the text, but it will be just a little percentage of the text. If you look at it, you can see the text a little. So but you can still read it well, and then but majorly it's only when it is active, or yes, after every place has been filled, that's when you can now get this particular state. Okay, so your disabled state should always be a like your write up, your inputs, your elements inside the button should not always be that visible. So that's what actually shows. Because if let's assume okay that I used this what's my fuel color? I used white. So let's assume this is it. So if this was to be my disabled state, it's not showing that it, or yes, or an inactive state, it's not showing that it's inactive. Because I can actually read this very well, apart from the fact that when trying to click on it on the part of development, that it will not work. Okay, apart from that, so as a designer, how do you actually show that it is inactive? It is true that minimally, like trying to reduce the opacity of your text inside, because someone's primary color, a product primary color can be this. Okay, let's say you're using and a product well, it can be this. Your active state can be this in a particular design. So it will confuse the user. All right. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Another thing, what is the function of the default button if it is just lights like this?
The function is that it's showing you that there's a button there. That button can only be clickable when it is active. So imagine you were having a form, a register form without a button, and after filling the form, that's when the button appear. It will look somehow now. I don't want to say it will look magical because you are bringing in things, something that did not exist to be somewhere. Okay, you are bringing in something that did not exist to come appear somewhere. So that's why we have the button at a state that is inactive, and then it only becomes active when all criteria has been met, or all required field has been entered, information has been entered. So that's why we have an inactive state.
Okay, sorry, sir. So you mean the default button and the inactive button, they do the same function?
The default and inactive.
The default button, this first button, the default button here,
And
and
the
the
active.
one, yeah, and the inactive. Do you mean
No.
they do the same function? But what is the function of the
Well,
default?
yeah. So when we are talking about inactive, so in the development part of it, okay, default. In the development part of it, if you should hover on a default, it's going to still carry your cursor. This is your cursor. But in disabled, it carries a circle and an X, a cancel kind of button. I don't know if you pay attention to that type of stuff, if you notice it. So for disabled, it means, well, it in the development part they route it the same. They route it the same, but in design, when we are designing it, we have to separate it because it will carry a different color scheme. But it does the question the right answer, or a direct answer, could be yes, it does the same thing. It does the same thing.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
All right, Vera, you can share. Is that? I hope that's all for it.
Yeah, yes, come on.
Okay, so we have. I think that should be. Uh, is there any other question before we share the grace?
Sir, I'm ready now, if you are.
Yes, I'm away. I'm away. I will
Okay.
attend to you short.
All right.
Okay, then. So in since there's no other question, thank you for joining today's class. So I look forward, and we also look forward to seeing you in our next class. I think that's on Wednesday, right? Wednesday by 6. Is it by 6? By 5? I've
Hi.
forgotten, Sha. It's by 5. Okay, so okay, our researcher has done another work again. Okay, so she says that default button is button serve distinct purposes and have different visual and interactive characters. Okay, is enabled and interactive. Okay, and then is non-interactive and unavailable for use. Well, looking at this stuff, is basically almost this is just languages that they are using to change sha. But we shall get it. We shall get it. Thank you, goodness. We always look up to you for research answers. Okay, Simon, it's okay. You're welcome. So let's do well to have a productive day. So others can go, and others that want to stay back for the other part can stay back. So